Welcome to this special episode of the Future Money podcast. Following the recent cases of kidnappings in France, many of you have reached out and asked me to bring a guest on that we can talk about physical security and what needs to be done in cases of kidnapping and crypto ransoms and other such events. Today's episode, we're joined by Romain Bordenave, the co-founder here in the group. Romain spent many years in Latin America, especially in places like Colombia and Mexico, dealing with physical security and corporate security consulting. In this episode, he's going to share some tips, best practices, and what to do in cases of kidnapping or when there's physical threats against anybody, not only in the crypto ecosystem, but more broadly as well. Romain, welcome on the Future Money podcast.
Hi, Henri. Thanks for having me.
I have to say, I really wished I didn't have to do such an episode, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Romain, I just want to start first with the cases we've had in France. I know you're French, but there's been obviously a wave of recent cases of crypto kidnapping in France. Is there a particular reason you believe we've been either seeing an increase in cases in France, or we're just hearing more about it?
Yeah, definitely. The second option is maybe the important things to understand that France maybe is not the place for that, but the authorities have had a very good reaction, and it's something new. So there is a trend. It's something spectacular too. So I'm not sure France is specifically targeted or is the place to be for that. But definitely, we've seen around 10, 12 cases in the last year, in the last 12 months. So it's.
But these are cases that are probably reported, right? I'm sure there must be tons of cases of kidnapping that we just never hear about around the world.
Absolutely, and that's the thing in France. Like in France, when a kidnapping happens, people will immediately alert the authorities, and the authorities will have the adequate response. And after that, you will have a coverage by the media. So of course, it's very public. Maybe in other countries you don't have that because, and I've been in Latin America seeing that most of the time you don't want the authorities to know about that because the danger on the victim is really important. So you don't want the authorities to get involved because you're scared of what could happen to the victim. So many people, they won't alert the authorities. So that also will change all the data, all the information we have on kidnappings, and it becomes a lot harder to deal with the situation here.
Because I want to talk about your experience in Latin America and advice you have for our listeners, but actually on the French case, because it was quite media-sized. Of course, you had one of the founders that was literally kidnapped from his house. His wife was found in a car, tied up. They cut one of his fingers. There was another one where we saw the family of a crypto founder, basically literally his kids and a wife trying to be kidnapped on the street. I just want to ask you, were you surprised of the reaction of the authorities? I mean, the way this was dealt with, is it best in class? The feedback I've got, again, I don't know nothing about this area, but was that the French, I think you have the GIGN, there was a lot of anti-terrorism teams that are quite sophisticated in France, and that is not the case in other countries. And this is why the victims were found pretty quickly, and also those responsible were also found pretty quickly as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised because France has a long tradition of special forces in gendarmerie with the GIGN or the raid with the police. So I'm not surprised by the reaction. But we can also see that after those cases, the authorities have been able or authorized to communicate about this. I think it was important for them to really make a statement that they wouldn't let this thing spread. So we've seen, for example, the GIGN, they had an interview with some medias saying that just for that case, around 90 police officers were displayed on the ground to really deal with that situation in different homes. They really wanted the intervention to be a surprise for the criminals. So the reaction was really, really important. So no, I'm not surprised. They have this tradition. They know how to react in France and also out of France in the case of French getting kidnapped outside. So no,
that's why you started your career. I remember you told me the first time we met that you started your career helping French citizens overseas, I believe, right?
So I have never been a public servant.
Okay.
But because I started in a French company and because I'm French, most of our clients are also French.
Okay.
So yeah, there is this. Most of the time, security is about trust, but it's also about culture. How do you manage your security? Americans, for example, they will have a specific way to deal with security, specific perception, and so specific tactics. In France, it's the same. We have our own way to see risk, to see the balance of risks, and also to give a response to that.
This podcast is sponsored by BRON. Do you believe in self-custody but hate that one mistake or one lost phrase can wipe everything out? BRON is a self-custody wallet built by the team behind Copper, designed to work the way people actually use crypto. Your balances stay private, not visible on public blockchain explorers. You can swap across chains with fees as low as 5 to 10 basis points. And if something happens, built-in inheritance makes sure your assets do not disappear forever. Instead of seed phrases, BRON uses MPC encryption and trusted guardians you choose, so recovery is possible without sacrificing control. BRON is for people who want self-custody without stress, and features usually reserved for institutions. Learn more through the link in the show notes. For example, it's just very interesting. Yeah. So Americans have a different perspective compared to Europeans? Like, give me a practical example. How does it look like?
Usually you could see that Americans, British, all the Anglo-Saxons, let's say, world culture will be a lot more strict and firm and use a lot more resources for that security. It's supposed to be a tougher security, more on the dissuasive side. A show of force also. You can have, for example, I was in South Africa a couple of months ago, and you can see that it's really about showing your force, so the criminals won't try to attack you. If I take the example of France, we're a bit different on that side. We usually want to be discreet, on a low level of let's say, I don't know.
It's more not in your face. It's more under.
Exactly. And
interesting.
More about intelligence, more about knowing your environment, more about being really included and really integrated in the environment. So you have the information beforehand, so you know what's happening, and you're not targeted as much as other people will. So it's about culture.
Interesting.
But of course, we could. I'm not sure there is a better approach than the other one. Yeah.
So let's talk about crypto in particular. So obviously, there's been a rise in crypto kidnapping. Obviously, the main reason I can say people think crypto people have a lot of money and this and that. But why do you think the crypto industry has been a particular target of kidnapping, or is just that we're in the crypto bubble and we hear more about it?
No, I think definitely you have some specific things about crypto that make that kidnapping trend logic, let's say. Crypto is getting mainstream. Now everybody knows about crypto. Maybe you don't know how it works, or maybe you're not a genius about it, but now everybody knows about it. And there is this illusion of a lot of money, that people who are working in crypto, everybody is a millionaire. So for the criminals, it's a very attractive thing, because money is just there. And then you have the liquidity of crypto, and you have the illusion of that it's untraceable and it's anonymous. That is an illusion. And that's also why you can see that we don't have really experts going on those kidnappings, because they think they will have the money fast, they will have it will be clean, let's say, like they can use it immediately, but actually it's not the case. It's actually harder with crypto than it would be with cash, for example.
Yeah. It's so interesting what you're saying there, because obviously in the crypto community, we've been saying for many years it's all traceable. What you're saying here, Romain, is that the proper organized crime are not doing crypto kidnappings because they know the challenges of laundering crypto. So that's why it's a low-level kidnappings that we have been seeing lately.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some cases involving organized crime with crypto, but not on those recent ones.
Interesting.
It's very different because when you're in a country, in a tradition, and where authorities won't be involved, then the ransom can be paid in crypto. For the criminals, it's not a problem. But that depends on the authorities, because I've seen cases in Mexico and Colombia where the ransom was actually paid with properties. What is more traceable than a property, So, the thing is, they know the authorities won't get involved at no point. So the traceability is something that is not always important, but definitely when we are talking about France or any country where authorities are a really strong arm and can do the investigation, and the victims, they will complain. Then of course the traceability is very important, and in the case of crypto, it's critical. Yeah.
Of course. So can you maybe walk us through, and maybe this is a very basic question for you, but can you walk us through the types of kidnapping that exists out there, like, or let's say broad categories for the novices out there that we are not familiar with this topic?
Okay, so let's say for this exercise we could immediately separate kidnappings are political kidnappings.
We're not there yet in crypto.
we can imagine. Yeah, we can imagine terrorist kidnapping Western citizens to ask for money to finance their political objectives. You could have guerrillas in Latin America. So let's not see all this. We're only talking about criminal for money, and then crypto is not a specific sector. What applies to crypto would apply to any kind of potential victim. So you can have this kind of trends. We can talk about football players. A couple of years ago, there was a wave also of attacks and aggressions on football players everywhere in the world. In Brazil, it was really important. We also seen that in France, in Paris, where some football players got robbed in their home. We had this situation in Germany too. So most of the kidnappings, you can have really fast ones, because kidnapping requires a lot of logistics. You need to pick the victim up. You need to keep it safe. You need to negotiate. And then you need to organize the drop-off of the money, the exchange. All that is really, really risky. So most of the time, those kidnappings, they have to be fast, because the longer it lasts, of course, it's riskier for the victim, but also it's riskier for the criminals, because the more time passes, the more time you give to the authorities to give an adequate response. So it has to be fast.
Interesting. You're right, actually. This is why I can see when somebody's doing a cyber hack where they're in the comfort of their home using a computer versus actually doing a physical kidnapping where there's all these touch points, and I guess the risks are severely increased when they're doing so. And because I would imagine there's been, like you said, the wave of kidnapping, like in Mexico and Colombia, this has been going on for decades. Like, this is not a new phenomenon. That's why there's businesses like you that exist to protect people on that perspective. And I can see why, because the attraction is getting, the illusion, like you said, everybody in crypto has money, or that it's non-traceable, how it attracts this new kind of criminals are coming in. So I just want to focus on, let's say, let's say today, the average kidnapper, like how would they target their customers, their targets? How do they try to find them? Is it social media? Is it personal information? Can you walk us through about how these guys operate? And also, I guess, and subsequently, how we can prevent it, I guess, based on that as well.
Again, we've seen different strategies depending on the countries and depending on the profile of the victims. But most of the time, you have, the exposure in medias and social media. So definitely, have you been showing off with your money, and at the same time showing your house, the school of your kids, showing all your family, your wife or your husband, and everything. So basically, you're giving away all the information, all the strategic information that the criminal needs to choose a victim. So we've seen this, but we've also seen some situation where the people who prepared the kidnappings were close to the family. They knew the family. It could even be a member of the family, can be a colleague, can be anybody in the same environment. So we have different situation, but definitely the information you let go public will be used. So it's the first barrier to stop kidnapping.
And we see that in crypto a lot. I mean, I call the crypto marina crowd, a crypto palm crowd in Dubai, where people like showing the cars, the girls, the bling bling. I mean, obviously you're putting a bullseye on your head. You mentioned something about being something internal. Do you see a lot in kidnapping cases that there's somebody from the inside who has been collaborating, who tipped off, or is being approached by these criminal groups?
Yeah, definitely. But again, if we're talking Latin America or if we're talking about Africa, yeah, we've seen a lot of those situations. Most of the time, we can trace the origin of the kidnapping or from some people around. Can be workers, can be providers, clients, family members. But you have, yes,
there's someone around.
Yeah, someone around.
So let's talk about prevention then. On these cases, like, what are you recommending to folks from a preventative perspective? I guess one of them is social media. Be careful what you're putting out there. What other measures, practical measures, can people take to, let's say, be cautious?
So yeah, first, don't be. It sounds easy to say, but don't be the victim they choose. There is always a dilemma in security. If you get some level of security, then the criminals will maybe choose your neighbor, and then your neighbor will get some level of security, a better one than you. Then you will become the victim again. So the strategy here is try not to be the one targeted. So don't publish your information, don't show off your wealth, and then don't put yourself in situation where it would be easy to kidnap you, because when they will try to balance cost and benefits, so the risks they're taking and the potential earnings, then they have to think that the risk is high. If they don't understand, for example, your everyday routine. So that's important for them. Don't go always to the same places at the same time. Change that. Of course, get your security done well. Like, check your home security. Is it easy to enter your house? Is it easy to find your house? If you forgot your keys, are you able to enter your own house or not? So I'm surprised sometimes to see clients saying to me, yeah, I can. Actually, you can go there and there. I said, well, you can let that happen, you know. And I would say also be aware. Be aware of your environment. Be aware of your movements, of the people around you. If you're surprised all the time, if all the time you're focused, I don't know, on your cell phone or something else, then you won't be able to react in case of an aggression. So yeah, I would say you have to, first is the information you're giving to the criminal, then it's your level of security at home during the commuting, at work, when you travel, and then it's what about reaction? Are you able to react? And I'm not talking about very specific tactics of self-defense or being armed, but just are you aware of your environment and are you able to react quickly because you know what's happening?
Hey everyone, Henri here. Can I just ask for a quick favor? If you enjoy this content, can you please like or subscribe? It really helps empowering the algorithm and have more people discover the show. This in turn allows me to invite better guests and that can continue adding value to you. Thank you very much in advance. Now back to our show. So let's talk about reaction, right? So let's say like somebody in our viewers, someone gets kidnapped. They get kidnapped or someone they know gets kidnapped. What is the normal procedures that, like the best practice to operate? And I presume it depends also countries you're in and if you can trust authorities or not. But can you just walk us through what should be done if in the event of a kidnapping, for example?
Okay, so you would have to, let's talk first about the victim, the person who is being kidnapped.
Yeah.
Easy to say, but we always recommend to stay calm, to gain control of yourself, because of course it's a situation with a lot of stress, very stressful. So trying to breathe, trying to be aware of your surroundings, of what is happening, following orders. It's important to follow the instructions of the criminals. One thing you don't want is them to get more stressed than what they are right now. I mean, the situation is that you literally your life is in their hands, so you don't want them to commit any mistake, and it happens. Most of unfortunately, most of the crimes that happen during a kidnapping is because the criminals have lost control of the situation. So obey, because you're not in control, so you have to accept that. So it's the first step, let's say. Try to gain control over yourself, understand your surroundings, to use that information to understand where you're going, understand the passing of time. Have you been here for 2 hours, 3 hours, 12, 1 day, 2 days? Trying to understand that. And once you have that control, you can start to think of maybe some strategy to be better. For example, you have health issues. Do you need something? Maybe you're injured. So you need to be aware of all that to be able to react.
Okay, that's interesting. And if let's say you're a victim, what if you're the person that has a friend, a colleague that gets kidnapped? Then what's then the procedure to follow?
Okay, so first, don't deal with that alone. Most of the time, so they will call a member of the family, or they will call someone at the office, like someone in responsibility, because they want somebody who is able to pay the ransom. So somebody who is able to gather the money and do the payment. So when that happens, I would say the first message to send is, okay, message received. I want him out, or her out, and let's talk about it. It's important not to talk about amounts of money already. The negotiation can be long. You cannot accept right away. You cannot delay too much. So you have to find the appropriate space in that moment to talk about it. That's the first contact, let's say. You need a proof of life. You need to know. Actually, you need to know the kidnapping is real. That's something important, and that's something we see very often in Latin America. Fake kidnappings, virtual kidnappings. So the first step when you receive that kind of call is to be sure that there is a kidnapping going on. Sounds
probably the best low risk option for a lot of these criminal groups.
And then definitely I would recommend to work with a specialized firm, because the negotiation is something very specific, and you want the negotiation to go according to the tactics for that area and that kind of people. Every kind of kidnapping will be different depending on the profile of the criminals and the country you're in. They would have different strategies. So you need a negotiator to know about that.
Interesting. And what about law enforcement? I mean, right now we're recording this interview. We're in Dubai. By the way, I'm very keen to hear your thoughts on that, like how you see like Dubai. I presume it's a pretty safe place, but how do you decide whether to contact the authorities or not?
I would say always contact the authorities.
Oh, well.
I would say that maybe not in some countries where it could immediately put the victim in danger, but of course if you're in Europe, here in Dubai, where you have strong authorities, professional with the good tactics up to date, then contact them. The faster they get the information, the faster they can react, and time is key in this kind of situation. So I would say immediately. Yeah.
In cases where countries you shouldn't contact, it's presumably because a lot of them are corrupt, and there's an expectation that the criminals are in cahoots with some government bodies, basically.
But again, it's not automatic. And most of the time it's not about really corruption. It's about, in this part of the country, are the authorities able to help or not? And that's why most of the time you need to rely on professionals who will know the ground and know that, actually also the question, who is the authority that will help me in this kind of situation? Because sometimes it will be the police, sometimes it will be a certain branch of the police, sometimes it will be the army or the Marines, or it depends. It depends on the country, and it depends sometimes even in the city the crime is happening.
Interesting. How do you hire people? Like in your field, when you're looking at hiring people, how do you guys even hire people? Like, is it a skill set looking for? Is it personality? Is it physical build? Is it brains? Like, the image often people have of these security personnel as big guys with big muscles. But I mean, you're a very normal guy.
Thank you.
No, I mean, I'm sure you're in great shape.
Are you not impressed?
No, I'm very, very impressed. But for those who are watching us on YouTube, Romain was telling me before he has a black eye, and I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "I was just playing rugby, so he didn't get into a fight." But like, that stereotypical image we have of these physical security is very different. How do you hire people? What do you look for in people you're bringing on?
So definitely in the field of security and corporate security in the last years, and I would say maybe 10 to 20 years, there has been a very important trend, professionalization, I would say, of the job. It's now it's a lot about knowing the place, knowing the tactics, preparing the plan, being able to understand the corporate activities, being agile, and then there are no superheroes who knows everything and know how to do everything. I'm here talking about kidnappings, but myself, I'm not a negotiator. I don't do it. I have specific negotiator. I won't have the pretension to say I will go and negotiate in Colombia. For that, you need a Colombian expert who knows exactly how this is going on, who knows the vocabulary, who will catch any change in the voice, who will catch a lot of information just on one phone call. Even with years in that in a country and knowing about kidnappings, you won't be able to catch the subtleties that are very important, and we're talking about the life of people. So I think now you need experts on every field and on every stage of a crisis situation. To go back to your question, how do we hire people? It's most of the time it's based on their experience. They're experts in their fields. Some of them, they will be experts on some criminal groups, on some areas, security expertise, and then you work with the people who know exactly the work, who know the job. So it's important, and it's a small world.
Sure.
And especially I would say in the French-speaking world of security, and we know people, and we know who is good.
Yeah. Everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody, and we are always like two phone calls from an expert and somebody who maybe I don't know him directly, but two phone calls distance to know the right person. Yeah.
So in the cases of kidnappings now, do you recommend often I would imagine cases of family members will be contacted, and I presume a lot of these criminal groups would tell them, do not contact authorities, just give us the money. In cases like that, what is generally the best practice? Do you recommend to people just to go to law enforcement regardless, or to just listen, obey instructions, what you were saying before?
Well, again, that would depend on where you are and how the authorities react. But most of the time, I would say if the criminals tells you don't call the police, then call the police. They don't want you to call the police because they know they will react, and the reaction will be fast. In that case, in France, for example, they managed to rescue the crypto entrepreneur that was in January after 48 hours. So it was an impressive reaction. So it's really important that you call the police. Yeah.
Interesting. In your experience now, obviously you've done this now for multiple years around the world. What makes a good negotiator? Like the people that are negotiating with these ransom seekers. What makes a good negotiator?
I would say sticking to the strategy, and being able to apply the strategy and to bring the criminals where we want them, and bring them to the exit options and exit possibility we have planned. The security of the victim is the first issue, and we need the dialogue to advance, but we need with this progress, we need guarantees. So that's how you really see that kind of success. That okay, we are going forward with this, and we are getting the guarantees we need, so we can continue on this. Yeah.
Were you surprised in one of the French cases where they literally cut the finger of one of the entrepreneurs, or that's a common thing that happens to show that they really have the person?
It's not that common, but again, in those cases, we've seen that some criminal head hired low-level criminals to do the kidnappings. So that would be it's too violent, I would say, unnecessary in this kind of situation, and it shows the low level of professionalism, I would say, of the criminals. But again, when we see the trends of criminality and violence sometimes in Europe, we've seen this kind of behavior, and more violent, more spectacular, I would say, and so I'm not totally surprised.
Were you surprised that one of the attacks happened in broad daylight? Or, do these kidnappings happen at night normally, or does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. It can happen in broad daylight. It can happen at your home. That's not something surprising. No.
Interesting. Maybe I just want to finish off on some personal questions, because you've been in this business for a while now, and you must have witnessed a lot of these events of kidnappings over the years. What has been, like, on a personal level, some of the most difficult moments you faced working in the security field?
Myself, I found the contact with the family to be tough and to be stressful.
Interesting.
When you enter this kind of situation, you have like a crisis management mindset. Mm-hmm. It's I don't know, something is like it's a switch, and you're focused on the mission. But sometimes, the level of emotions you find with the family, some colleague, this for me can be can be a moment of difficulty, I would say, mm-hmm. but not that easy to manage. But it's when you know how you react, you also develop the tactics, and you have colleagues, and so you can separate the different tasks.
Any parts of the world you believe that crypto entrepreneurs are higher risk than others?
I would say, of course, if you live in a country, in a place where kidnappings are already important, then it is it is more risky than others. And I'm thinking Latin America. I'm thinking maybe Russia is a bit specific right now. You have countries where kidnappings have been traditional ways for criminals to get money. So if you're a crypto entrepreneur in those areas, then you're more exposed than others. I don't think in France crypto entrepreneurs are more exposed than in other places. And we've had a case here in Dubai last month. So
Were you surprised to see that case in Dubai?
Yes and no, but it's a very specific case.
Okay.
Because if you've seen, the information that got out was that it was a Russian scammer.
I didn't know this was a Russian scammer got kidnapped.
Who knows what happened there?
Okay, that's so interesting. I didn't know about that case that happened. It's interesting.
Some people got arrested in Russia.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
for the kidnapping that happened in Dubai.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
It was a crime, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. To close it off, Romain, so the advice you're giving to our listeners is, to recap, and let me know if I forgot anything, but again, just be careful what you're sharing on social media. Know your own protection, like your routine or your house. Make sure that it's actually quite protected. And basically, don't be an idiot. Basically what you're saying. It's don't be that bling bling guy showing the money and everything and being very visible on that. And if something happens, contact law enforcement, generally most cases. Listen to the kidnappers, be collaborative. And I guess that's unfortunately the sad reality of this of this environment on it. Did I miss anything as the major piece of advice?
No, I think that's it, but it's a lot harder than we think.
Yeah, of course, I'm sure.
Because and as a security professional, I have to accept that every time you're adding some security level, some security measure, it's a cost. It's a cost. Of course, it costs money, but it also costs your liberty, your agility, and it puts some pressure. So we cannot say that it's easy, because it's a mindset, and definitely, and I've seen it myself on my everyday life. It's not the same thing to live in a country like Mexico or Colombia, or in some part of Africa, in Nigeria or something like this, and being here in Dubai.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You don't have the same reaction. You don't have the same awareness of your environment. So for all those crypto entrepreneurs who are also so avid of liberty and of this freedom, now they have to think a bit backwards of a security, and they can't do everything they want. That's tough.
Romain Bordenave, thank you very much. People want to get in touch with you. How they can contact you?
Through our website, irenagroup.com.
How do you write the website so people can find it? IRENA hyphen.
Yes.
Trait d'union in French.
Trait d'union.
Yeah.
Group.com.
GROUP.com.
Yes.
Romain, thank you very much, and thank you for accepting to coming on the show to share with our audience. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed that episode, and see you all soon for another episode of The Future of Money.